since 2005. You're listening to Gamertag Radio with your hosts, podcaster Hall of Famer Danny Peña, the always opinionated Paris Lily, and from outside of the norm, Peter Toledo. This is Gamertag Radio.
All right, welcome to Gamertag Radio. This is your host, Danny Peña, and also my co-host, and also my beautiful wife, Rihanna Manuel Peña.
Hello, hello.
What's up?
Dragon Age is what's up, my friend.
Ooh, how many hours have you been playing that? Do you know?
Ooh, so I'm somewhere around 20 and change.
Nice.
Level, I want to say 25.
Okay.
Yeah,
You haven't finished it yet, like me, because I finished it a couple of days ago.
No, so when you told me that you were going to play and kind of go straight through and not do a lot of the side content, I made the decision to try to do as much of it as possible.
Okay.
Maybe not all of it, but yeah, I'm probably going to do all of it. So I've been leveling up and getting a lot more of like the story and side quests and stuff, so that we can have those two different contrasting experiences.
No, that's cool. That's really good to know. Well, actually, I'm going to bring it up later about, and guys, if you listen to this on the podcast or the video version, there is no spoilers. So I'm going to keep it spoilers free.
Important.
Very important. Spoilers free. Very quick. I've been playing this now before Yuri. I think it was like over 2 weeks? Over 2 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been playing strictly on my PC, no console. And I also played this back was like over a month ago or so. I went to San Francisco, preview event, over 6 hours. So I had to replay some those same quests, same storylines, and everything, because that's from like the main part of the story of the game. And it didn't really bother me because I'm like, let me try something new. Let me select while I was creating a character, I decided to try everything differently than my previous experience. And I think it was good because it was very refreshing. And I had also different conversations just to see the difference between that and the previous event. And it was cool. It didn't really bother me at all. I know probably people are going to be asking, oh, Danny, you have to play the same exact stuff again? Didn't care about it. Took
Very
my
different,
time. Yeah.
With the different character and choices, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, if we're going to jump right into it, I would love to talk a little bit about the character creator, because again, this is a spoiler-free conversation, and it being the first thing people experience, I think it's okay. It's safe space to break it down a little bit more detail. But there is so much context and even like story impacting decisions that you will make during the character creation process, that it's unlike anything that I've played, and as far as I can remember, honestly. So you have the choice between the race that you're playing. So you have, you could be a human or an elf or a kunari or a dwarf. And then you also have the ability to choose what type of fighting style you do. And all of these decisions and impact your backstory. And at some point in the character creation process, they ask you, like, what is like a major formative moment in your past? And when you make that decision, it impacts almost all of the different places you go, the type of interactions you have. If you meet people who have things in common with you, like if you're an elf and you meet other elves, they'll talk to you differently. If you're a certain fighting faction or organization membership, then people from that organization will be like, oh, well, you know that you're a blank. And it's like, oh, like, you know me. It really feels like you've chosen a real character, a real entity, a real person, and people around you will react to the choices that you make at the very beginning of the game, which is so cool.
Mm-hmm. No, it's cool too. Like, I took my time. I was trying to create somebody similar to me, like the beard, bald, all that stuff.
Oh, you're talking about the features, yeah.
The feature. I was
like the
No, I was just
personality.
I'm talking more like the features. Like I really took my time with it. I love there's a lot of different options. I also like that part too. Where in the previous event I had a mage because I typically like close combat when I play RPG games, similar to like The Witcher, stuff like that. And when I was creating this character this time, I was like, nah, you know what? Let me change it up. I love mage. I love mage, but I want close combat again. So, and I decided to select a warrior. But even selecting that, man, I was upgrading a lot with my skills. You probably have more because you've been doing a lot of side quests, which helps you to upgrade your not only your companions but also your character too. So that was really interesting going through that process of creating a character. Even at the event, I remember seeing people taking their time. Like they didn't rush it. They were like, I'm going to create somebody, see how it is. So I can imagine when people get this game, when it launches, they're probably going to do the same exact thing, take their time creating the character. Like, I think overall in this game, you should really take your time.
Yeah.
Do not rush this at all. I learned that from experience because, and this is not a spoiler, but it does affect the story between your characters and your character when you start playing the main story. But the more things that you do and the more bonding that you do with the other companions, I think that's going to help to open up new stories, new dialogue, new side quests, a lot of new things too. Even this, like I know we were having this conversation the other day. We're like, sometime I walk to like a little town and I see somebody that's just there poor, asking for money, right? I always been giving them money.
Yeah.
Maybe even that helps to change the story in the game, or maybe people will start liking you even more because of that. I think like this is just me as a theory, like because I will just give every time I see somebody laying, sitting down,
because there doesn't seem to be any consequence, so I just always give them money.
I always give, but I think that also affects the story. I think it affects the game.
I wouldn't lean too far into this in this review because I don't want to lead people down a theory path that is incorrect. We don't know if it does.
We don't know yet.
There are clear indications when you make decisions during conversations or missions. It'll say on the left hand side, so and so approves, or so and so will remember that choice. So it does the indication on the screen in text that tells you somebody has reacted to something you've done. So there are moments of hard confirmation for your choices.
Yeah. But overall, that part I really like that. And I love the companions. I love Nev. That's like my favorite. First of all, I think she's hot in this game. I mentioned it to Ria. Like, I love her. She's awesome. But I love the relationship between her and my character. It's been like going back and forth and everything like that.
That's so interesting. I am not close with Nev.
Oh, really? Oh, snap. And that's the part that I love, that everybody's going to have a different experience with everybody else. You know?
Yeah. I have my favorites. I really have a soft spot for Harding because she's going through a lot. And I'm also attempting to romance Lucanus because he's so dark and mysterious.
I love Lucanus too. I like him a lot. I really
like fighting with him, and he and I are in the same faction. So during his missions, it felt very there was an immediate kinship there because like the people around us were like, oh, you guys know this, you've been doing this forever, and it's like, oh yeah, we are the same. Well, kind of, but. Again, not getting into story spoilers, I really love the way that they pace out the story and the locations and the characters, because you don't have the whole party at once. Obviously, you have to go do certain missions and go through different story beats in order to recruit them. And there's a reason for each one to be joining your party. And as you do that, you have the opportunity to go back to your home base, which, again, I won't spoil because it is story related. But you have an option to go back to your home base and catch up with people and see how they feel about what's going on. And a lot of times, those are limited opportunity conversations, and they allow you to get deeper relationships with your companions. But the thing about it is you don't have to go to Reddit or look up like a huge detailed guide on all the conversations you need to have in order to get a certain outcome. It shows a little indicator that something is a limited time opportunity. And so even though, as you theorized and as I have been experiencing in my slower playthrough, you do have a lot more that you can get out of this experience, both with the companions and a story about the world and what's going on, if you have more experiences and conversations with your party members, but you don't feel like you're making any decisions uninformed. You always know exactly who you can and can't talk to progress things at any given moment. It's really, really cool. And something that I'm getting a little bit more into now, I'm like about, I would say, a third of the way through my playthrough probably. It would be generous to say half, maybe half, who knows. But as I'm a little bit further into my playthrough, doing 100% of the content, or as close to 100 as I can, I'm noticing that there are interactions between my companions that are getting, some of them are getting a little flirty, or some of them are getting really close and really bonding together. And that's so cool to see too, is that it's not just a story about me, it's about this whole group. And it truly is the Veilguard that you're playing as. Like, you're playing as all of them. And even down to the fact that you can put cosmetics and weapons and enhancements on the equipment of your character, but also your companions. It really does feel like you are playing this whole party in a way, but they do have agency of their own. And it's such a cool balance and a combination of things. And I'm really enjoying it. And I don't want to get too far into the RPG mechanics because, you know, if people have played Dragon Age, they already know how a lot of this goes. But the fact that you can upgrade your home base, which allows you to upgrade individual like weapons and enchantments and your armor, and then also you can put enhancements on them and give them different skill or different bonus skills, but also do that for all of your companions. Like, it really feels like you have a lot of control and impact over how your fights will go, or how you'll explore the world and what you'll look like in all your cutscenes. Like, there's nothing better than picking a really cool outfit and then seeing it in the cutscene. You know what I mean?
Yep,
and you can do that for everyone in your party. So I'm really enjoying that, the way that they've put together the companion and the exploration. And it feels like they don't hold your hand through every step of the way, but it feels digestible. It's not overwhelming. There's no point at which I felt like there was too much going on and I didn't understand between, you know, my skill tree and then my companion skill trees and then their loadouts and everything. Like, it feels digestible.
And now I know you've been playing, the majority of the time you've been playing on the Steam Deck. What you can tell us that experience, because I haven't tried out on the Steam Deck. I've been 100% just PC, and the only issue that I've been having the PC, and we talked about this too privately, is in the beginning you see like this loading shaders that show like the percentage. That at first it takes a little while, like the first time you launch it. Then after that it will go a little bit faster, but that pops up every single time. So like, let's say I play a game like Black Ops, there's an update, right? It will do the same exact thing, but it will pop up once while you're like in the lobby or doing something, right? So I hope that BioWare could release an update where you only do that once and you don't see that again. So I know for the Steam Deck, it took a longer time compared to a PC, right? For you?
The first time it did, and since then, most of the time when I'm stopping my playthrough, and I'm going to put a pin in that because there's something I want to say about stopping.
Sure.
As well. But every time that I stop, I usually just put my Steam Deck in standby mode. I don't turn it all the way down, or don't shut it all the way down. So then I don't have that preloading screen when I return to play again. When I shut my Steam Deck completely off, or when I exit the game completely, yes, I do have that loading screen, but it isn't as long as the initial one, like you said.
Okay, cool. And how was your experience just playing the game overall on the Steam Deck? Do you prefer? Because I know it's easier for us as parents, because a lot of people know we have a baby.
Right.
It's easier to not sit down on a computer or your console. You just play on on your handheld and you're good. So how was that? How was that process? Your experience on Steam Deck?
Yeah, it's been really good on the Steam Deck. I will say the accessibility settings at the beginning, and I'm not an accessibility expert, but I do advocate for those settings whenever possible. They're pretty comprehensive.
Good.
And I was able to change the size of the text so that I could read it a little bit easier on the Steam Deck.
I was going to ask you that question. Yeah.
Yeah, the default was fine, but I don't need my eyes to work that hard at night. So I went ahead and I bumped it up to the larger size text, and it was great. Everything is very legible. I have all of my visual settings turned to low because I'm on the Steam Deck. And I will say my Steam Deck gets really hot still, which it does with most heavy load games. But it also really drains the battery. I can get 1, maybe 2 hours of play before I get a low battery notification, which is not ideal. So I will say if you plan to play this on the Steam Deck, and I have the middle tier model Steam Deck, to be plugged in because it is going to drain a lot of battery very quickly. And it's fine because I'm home when I'm playing the Steam Deck. But if I was going to, let's say, take a 4 or 5 hour flight and try to play through this game, I'm not going to get very far if they don't have outlets on the plane. So just want to give that warning to people if they're expecting to play this on the Steam Deck. And I'm not sure if it's officially Steam Deck verified or not, but yeah.
Well, they said that I think I read somewhere where this was going to be Steam Deck verified.
I think it's already verified, if I'm not mistaken.
But it needs some work.
We're playing a build at pre-launch, so there could be patches.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And I want to put that asterisk on everything that I'm saying about the functionality. But yeah, it's not the worst experience at all, and it's a fine way to play it. If you're playing this game for visuals, you won't like it on the Steam Deck. But if you're playing the game for, the systems, the mechanics, the experience, then it's great.
Yeah. I think overall people are going to really enjoy this game, Ree. I think, in my opinion, people could hit me up if you want. But I think this is BioWare's best game since...
Jade Empire.
Well, no. Since Mass Effect 2. Since Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, I will say like the mission mechanics, and again, because I've played so many side missions and done so many like of the pop-up missions, like when you just go to a place, there'll be an exclamation point and you can start something new. There's so many types of missions. Like, there are very few follow the leaders where you just have to. I don't think I haven't experienced anything where I have to try to do stealth, which is great because it's annoying. There are so many things that work with environmental puzzles that are really interesting and inventive and varied. I don't feel like they're rinse and repeat. Like every time I've come across a new side mission or even just an environmental puzzle, it feels new and fresh, which is really cool because I've played a lot of them already, and there's many more to go, I'm sure. But each time it feels like I'm actually doing something, or I'm actually figuring something out. I'm not just going to a place that's marked on a map and pressing a button. I'm actually, using my brain and working through it. And I feel like my character is intelligent and clever. The level design is incredibly tight. Like at any point in any mission, I know where I'm supposed to go. But if I go off the side path and explore, I could find something really cool at the same time. But I don't ever get lost, which is important as somebody who doesn't have time to waste when playing games. I really appreciate that I'm not running around in circles completely at a loss for what I'm supposed to be doing. Like it's really, really clearly communicated what you can do now and what you need to wait to do later. And that's really cool. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't played a game this tight, like this solid in all of its systems and mechanics in a very long time. It's early on, but I will say this is definitely top 10, maybe top 5 of all time.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah, it's up there for you. All right.
It's really, really up there.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Yeah. Anything else besides what we talked about now? Anything else? Because we have other interviews coming up for this episode, but I think people are going to love this game. Really, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it it changed my mind when I first watched the presentation during Summer Game Fest, and I said that at that time, I was like, this is the game of the show during Summer Game Fest. I went to the hands-on event, loved it even more because now we spent 6 hours. We could do whatever we want, just play, go ahead, boom. And now with this one, even more. I think this is a game where people are going to be saying, "Oh, okay, contender game of the year." That type of conversation, I could definitely see that for sure.
it's definitely nominated for me, and it's definitely taking certain categories for me as well.
Sure.
It's been a really good year, and we've said, "Oh, this is Game of the Year" a couple times now.
A couple times
In 2024, but this is absolutely in the conversation. I'll say, I haven't experienced anything yet in the game that I haven't seen done before. But all of the things it does maybe the best of any game, all put together in one.
Yeah.
So I'll say it's kind of like a master class in RPG.
And not only that, but
super
also
approachable too.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, it's not an Elden Ring. It's not incredible. Well, unless you can turn the difficulty up quite high. But it's not the type of game where you feel like you're banging your head against a wall. That's not the type of fun that it is. It's really more just like, here are all of these different Lego blocks. You can build something of your own that's really cool and neat and that you enjoy. It's not a really difficult, 1,000-piece puzzle that can only be done one way. There's lots of choice and lots of personality that you can bring to your playthrough, and I really enjoy that. And if you like that in games, you're gonna love this. You can turn the difficulty all the way down and just hang out with these people.
Enjoy the story.
Or you can crank it up and have a really, really cool RPG mechanic and loadout challenge for yourself. But I love that you have the choice. That's the biggest thing that I appreciate in games is choice. Like, that way more people can try it and enjoy it.
I will say one more thing before we head out. If you put Nightmare difficulty, that's the highest and hardest difficulty.
And there's 5 or so different
something like
levels.
that.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of choices.
But if you pick Nightmare, you're not allowed to change it back. Like, you're stuck with that unless you start a brand new game. So that's another thing. If you want a challenge, this could be the challenge for you.
Yeah,
so
if you're straight off of a Souls then go for it. But otherwise, I'd say leave it on normal and enjoy yourself.
Definitely. All right, guys. So we're going to continue with the show. We have also an interview with Molly. She and her team, they just launched a Kickstarter campaign about EGM. They're going to release this special book. I think, Ree, you also pledged on that one too, right?
Absolutely.
I did.
As soon as
I'm a backer. I'm a backer too. So it's really great conversation. We talked everything about EGM, and I also showed my favorite issues of EGM. I had a couple, and I showed we were having the conversation, and also we have a clip during my live stream where I had also a conversation with Rodrigo from United with Dream Action. So all this and more here only on Gamertag Radio. We'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Gamertag Radio.
All right, welcome to Gamertag Radio. This is Danny Peña, and I have a special guest here. We have Molly. Molly is going to be talking about the new campaign that they just launched on Kickstarter for all you fans out there of Electronic Gaming Monthly. Molly, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Not bad. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we got to talk about this new project. So tell us a little bit about this project, and congratulations. I know you and your team reached your goal right away within hours, so that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's funny because, I had never been a part of a Kickstarter before. I backed some, but never actually helped run one. And the night before we launched, I was just laying there in bed like, oh my goodness, is this going to just completely tank? Are we going to do nothing? Is nobody going to care? And then 24 hours later on the first night, I was laying there like, oh my goodness, we've done too well. Now I'm terrified about making sure everybody loves, what we're doing. So yeah, it was, obviously we have a love for EGM. We have a love for the history of the magazine across all of its years. And we thought we could do something really great with it. But, you just never know. Is what we're doing going to resonate with people? Are those fans still out there? Are they going to care? And so we are humbled and excited by the fact that people do still care.
Yeah. So for those who are watching the video, I have the actual website here. So you guys have over $361,000 already back from the over 4,000 backers, man. It's really, really cool. And you guys have still 20 days from this recording, 20 days to go. So what is next now that you already reached your goal? Is there going to be anything new adding now for those that are still on the fence on pledging?
Yeah, so we have announced that we've got at least 3 new stretch goals. it did take us a few days to come up with those stretch goals. But the thing is that, well, first of all, I mean, just being honest, first of all, we were not expecting to hit it that hard that fast, So
Yeah.
we weren't completely ready with what do we do next. The previous highest stretch goal at $250,000 was, we were saying we're going to make a brand new issue of EGM. And for us, that was like the awesome, amazing finish line goal, right? If we could get to that, that would be awesome. And then it hit and we got it done.
I was number 2 on that one.
Yeah,
actually.
thank you for that.
Yeah, so and actually my wife backed the one because she wanted to join on that one, but it was already too late. So she backed the one before that one, the Super Collector's Edition 2 Turbo.
Yes. So so we wanted to come up with new stretch goals, but I think our thinking is, and I'm not trying to call any other Kickstarters out, but you have seen this where something hits and it's really successful and they say, okay, we want to do more and we want to expand the project and that kind of stuff. But then you have the issue of feature creep, right? Is you have these additional stretch goals that come in that then make it take longer for things to get finished or are more complicated and problems arise from that. So we really wanted to come up with ideas that were going to be, we thought would be fun and exciting, but also wouldn't put any of what we currently had planned in danger. So we do have currently 3 new stretch goals. The first we have revealed, and what we're going to do is we're going to open it up so that when the campaign ends, anybody who has been a backer for the campaign will get a chance to be part of the review crew for the new issue.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
And the
next generation, right? Next
the
generation.
full details on that are not completely worked out yet, but we're going to do, because previously EGM ran a competition for somebody, for readers to be part of the review crew. So we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to figure out what game it's going to be. And then, we'll work out the details later, but we're going to do that cool thing. And then we've got 2 more secret ones coming depending on how far we get.
Ooh, well, I'm excited. I'm very excited. And I know we talked about this before, but, growing up, EGM was like one of my favorite magazines. I remember getting that every month. I was subscribed all the time when I was living in New York and Miami. And it also inspired me to do what I'm doing now, content creator, and also for like media. So I remember watching, I'm reading different issues and I'm like, man, it really got me excited to attend E3 because that was like my dream also to attend back in the days, so. Yeah. So how was it for you? How much EGM helped you growing up and also getting into the industry too for you?
Yeah, it's funny because if you think about the world we live in now, there's of course podcasts, there's YouTube, there's websites, blogs, social media. There's all these ways where if you love video games and you want to learn more about them, you want to see what's coming up, you want to share your excitement about them, there's all these different outlets. But back in the day, there was almost nothing. And when magazines existed, like that was our window into the world of what was out there. When even before E3, there were the CES shows, but when those shows happened, there weren't live streams, there weren't, really updated news on that kind of stuff. So you would wait for that big, thick issue of EGM to come in the mail to see all the games that had been revealed, all the games the companies were showing. And so when I was a kid, I just fell in love with video game magazines because that was the big source for finding out about video games. And that got me into the industry. I always wanted to work for magazines. And it's just crazy that as a kid, I was there when EGM started. I was reading those initial issues. I was buying them, going to the grocery store, or the convenience store, whatever, to get the latest EGM. And then later on, I ended up working for them and actually seeing my name in an issue of EGM was just beyond belief. So yeah, so I think that no matter if you're younger or older, there's different reasons that magazines are important. For the older audience, it's nice to see that those memories of EGM and all those issues aren't just going to be lost forever. And on the younger side, I think those issues give a window into the world of video games that maybe you wouldn't know about just because you weren't there at the time.
Yeah, I talking to a couple of friends that also used to work at EGM and also from the PR side, how the process was it back then to cover games. Like I remember back in the old days, they said this is from the PR side, they had to send the press release via mail to the office of like a magazine back in the days, because it wasn't how it is now. Like, email, you get it right away. But at that time, you got to do it like that. Plus, if EGM had to cover a game back in the days, it had to be like maybe 2, maybe 3 months in advance.
Oh, yeah.
So it could come out around that time. So like, it's crazy how much the industry has changed throughout the time, right?
Yeah, no, it's funny. One of my earliest jobs was retyping those press releases that would come in, because they would come in like physically, like over a fax machine or something, and so I had, in previous work things, I would do that. And then, you used to have to get games in months and months before they would come out, because the lead time on magazines would be so long. So that whole thing has changed, when I was, working on being in charge of the magazine and deciding what we're going to do, we had shorter lead times because of brand new technology, and we could be a little bit faster in that kind of stuff. But in the older days, it was a process, and getting an issue out was not an easy task. Yeah,
that's crazy. I remember my first game that I reviewed. This was for the Game Boy Advance. I think it was Advance Wars.
Yeah.
And I got it from Nintendo, but I also had to send back the game.
Yeah.
At a certain time. Yeah. It's crazy how much things change, man. Yeah, but it's cool to see that you have a lot of people also involved, not only from the EGM side, but also game developers also going to be. I noticed you have Ed Freeze, Peter Moore. Shout out to Peter.
Yeah.
Also Shay Kim. A lot of folks are involved with this. Are you planning to add more folks also to be part of this, or this is just the list for now? That's it.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we are looking, because it was a case of, sometimes people are just hard to track down, and sometimes people are busy with other things. And so when we first started doing a pass on who we really wanted to be part of this book, we were sending out feelers, and for some people it was like, I would love to, but I just don't have time right now. Because we were reaching out more in the summertime, and so we got a good list, but we are looking to expand that. I can't make any promises on who might be added. We are hoping to add some names to that list soon for additional people we have got locked in. Okay. But also part of that too is just, there's people that we've talked to that we want to be into it, but until that's all worked out and we've got their submission and their memories and things like that, we don't want to say that they're going to be part of the book, just in case something happens and it doesn't work out. Like, we don't want to make any promises we can't fulfill.
Sure. Well, here's two requests. Okay. And I know them too, but 2 requests. One, I think it would be cool to see if you could get Reggie Fils-Aimé in it, if that's possible. Another one, Ed Boon, because I know Ed back in the days with Mortal Kombat. That's like the perfect conversation with that too, from back in the days. So
yeah, no, it's funny because I was just doing some work on the website last night, and I noticed, and I can't remember the exact year, I think it might have been 1996 or so, is that like 6 of our 12 covers for that year were Mortal Kombat 3. And so when you go and look back, it's like Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat 2 and then 3 were both such huge parts of EGM's history back then, because they were just such gigantic games.
Yeah, that would be cool. So if you need help on that, let me know. So, all right. So here's some of the issues that was very important in my life, and I have some of these still here somewhere, right? I'm gonna show it to you right now on the screen. I don't know if you can see it or not, but let me see. Where is it? Is it window? Okay, right here. Boom. All right, so this one is a very important one because one, my podcast came out in February of 2005, so it's gonna be 20 years for us next year, but this was a very important year because the Xbox 360 was coming out, and even though Perfect Dark Zero wasn't that great when it came out, but at that time, people were very, very excited. Do you remember this issue right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. What you think of this one? With this issue, were you working at that time for this one?
No. I came in 2011.
Okay, so later. Okay.
Yeah. So I actually one of the other people, main writers on the book, is name is Josh Harmon, and so I think he was kind of more of your timeline in terms of getting into EGM. So I was like the kind of earlier generation of EGM. So that's what the interesting part of us doing this is, that we kind of hit on both of those eras. So I remember this issue. I don't remember too much about what was in it.
Yeah, it was all Xbox 360. The features, the console, everything. This is before the console came out. So this is from this is a July 2005 issue. So it was way a couple months before the launch of the Xbox 360.
Right.
All right. So let's go to another one. This is a big one too. This is the launch of the 360. Now this was a really cool issue right here. All right, let's go with the next one. This is actually, for those who are listening, this is from November 2005, exact time that it was coming out.
I miss those faceplates on the 360.
Oh, I missed. That was pretty cool, right?
Great.
Back then? Yeah, that was great. This one, world exclusive, 2001, February of 2001. So this is when I started content creation, was in February or January of 2001 for me. And it was because of Sega Dreamcast, but the Dreamcast died. And this was like the next big thing for me at that time when I heard about Xbox. I was like, oh my God, this is like the closest thing to Dreamcast, so.
It is funny that the Dreamcast ended up being that kind of, there felt like a natural kind of flow from the Dreamcast to the original Xbox.
Yep.
Because I had a lot of friends, because we were all big Dreamcast people, and I had a lot of friends who then moved to Xbox.
That's cool. That's good to hear. All right, we're almost finishing here. This was a big issue for me, man, because and I have this issue, actually. I still have it. So this one, I really liked it because people were saying, man, there's no way Xbox is going to have better games than Nintendo. Nintendo is, they're known to come out with great games. And at that time, everybody was sleeping on Halo. Because I remember the early days when they showed Halo for the first time, playable, hands-on at E3. And one of my friends actually went there. He said it was a terrible demo. It wasn't that good. But then, reading this review of Halo, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I think one of the games that the staff reviewed that was pretty good for Nintendo GameCube was the Star Wars game. Star Wars.
Oh boy, what was that?
Rogue Leader. Is it? Oh my God, I can't remember the name of it. Is it Rogue Leader?
Is it? I'm thinking, is it Rogue Squadron or is it
Rogue Squadron? I think it's Rogue Squadron. Yeah, I think it was that. Yeah. So that one also got a perfect score, but the only issue was that game was way too short. So this is a very, very important issue for me. This came out December of 2001, but I remember getting this back in November or late October, something like that, because usually it was almost 2 months before. So. All right. Do you remember anything about this one?
Yeah. I hate to say this, but this era right here that you're talking about was actually when I was in Japan, so I was kind of missing out on American publications at that point.
Okay.
But I know that all of these and more are those kind of memories you're talking about. Those memories of seeing these certain features or reviews or that coverage or whatever. That's part of why we wanted to do this project.
Yeah, this is cool. And I can't wait to see, this again, the new project you guys have. All right, so we're almost done. Phantasy Star Online, Dreamcast, one of my favorite games on Dreamcast.
I spent way too many hours playing Phantasy Star Online.
Yeah. This one got me really excited. This is the first review I got to read about the game, and it was through EGM. This one came out March of 2001. So I had my first internet radio after reading this issue. Why I say episode all the time? This issue, and I did a radio show called PSO Radio, all about Phantasy Star Online, everything. So yeah, so this is a pretty cool issue here to have. All right, Halo 2.
Yeah,
this one was a big one too, and I remember this one had multiple covers, different colors. I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, because that's it's interesting because that is one of those covers that kind of sticks in your mind. But it's funny because there are a few covers like that where we did have multiple versions of it. So it's been funny for me going back and looking at those older issues because I will have that specific cover in my head as being the main default cover. And then you realize, oh no, there were actually variations on it,
Yeah, that was cool. And I think that helped people to buy multiple issues, multiple copies, because they want to have the collection of those issues. That was really cool. I think I can't remember other ones that they did. I don't know if you have an idea of other big ones back then.
There's I know just in kind of in this style, the last issue 264 was Destiny, and we actually did have multiple covers for each of the main kind of character classes. So
That's
that's
cool.
one that instantly comes to my mind. There were other times when we did have different games on the cover, because the way magazines would work sometimes is you would realize, if somebody sees, let's say, Halo on the cover, they might not care about Halo or Xbox, but if then we also have a different version of that same issue with like Jack and Daxter on the cover, maybe that's the game that'll catch their eye.
Oh, okay. All right, good to know. So this was, for those who are listening, December of 2004. This was a big one.
Oh, yeah.
You don't know how many times I read this one. Oh, my God. I was like reading this over and over and over again. I'm like, wow, so I could play online anytime I want at that time. Oh, my God. Yeah, so $9.99. And the cover is all about Sega Dreamcast, the biggest 24 hours in entertainment history. Do you remember anything about this one? This one came out September of 1999.
Yeah, no, I mean, just like, because I was really big into any issue that had the Dreamcast in it, because I had actually gotten a Japanese one early, and so I was so excited for the American launch. And so yeah, I do remember this one because just of anything that was talking about Dreamcast, because I was a lifelong Sega person.
Let's go Sega.
Yeah, Genesis is still one of my favorite consoles ever. And so I do remember having this issue and then other ones, because anything that was about Dreamcast, I was grabbing and reading.
Yeah, honestly, I think this issue and also the launch of Sega Dreamcast, I think to this day had the best launch of games, I think, in my opinion. And talking to Peter Moore, because we were doing we did like a 20th anniversary special about Sega Dreamcast. I had a great conversation with him behind the scenes of how was it launching this. And he was like, it was great for the gamers, but it was bad for the business because they had a time that was just dry. There was like no games coming out. They launched everything in one day, So I was like, oh man, I didn't see that from the business side.
No, as a gamer, yeah, it felt awesome. But you do like, that's one of the funny things of doing what kind of you and I do, is after a while you start to get more and more of that business knowledge. Yeah. And then you start to see it from that side too. It's like, okay, yeah, as a gamer, it was awesome to have that huge launch and all those games come out at once. But then it's like, from the business side, yeah, if you're just putting them all out there at the same time, it's like, what do you do in those kind of dry spells?
All right, one more, and that's it. This one is the last one. Sega Strikes Back. Perfect Dark Review. So I think Perfect Dark Review, this was for the Nintendo 64. And this issue came out June of 2000. I remember this one because I think Sega had an amazing booth and presentation at E3, and everybody was just talking about like how good was the booth, and people were talking about like the content and everything like that. Do you remember anything of this issue at all?
Yeah, because I remember I do remember that the E3 stuff, because I think that was the last E3 I went to at that point for a while.
Oh wow, okay.
And seeing like the Space Channel 5, they had like a dance, I think dancers for Space Channel 5, and they had the whole Fantasy Star Online set up and things like that. So I do remember, I was not at EGM at the time doing the E3 coverage, but I was at E3. And so I do remember reading that coverage in that issue.
No, that's good. That was a little fun thing I wanted to do during the issue. Like, let's go back, So is there anything else about, what you guys have planned, and what is next now that, I know you guys are working on more stuff, you're adding more stuff, but what is like one thing that hopefully you could add in the campaign, the Kickstarter campaign before all this ends?
We're kind of looking at that and seeing like, okay, what makes sense, because what we want to do is, so there's kind of three sides to this. There were two sides originally. There was the book, the EGM Compendium, and then there is the online digital archive. And then now, of course, we're doing EGM issue 265. And so what we've been trying to think about is how do we do things that would affect all three of those? Because I think the idea is that you don't want to just only have ideas from here that would make the book better, or only focus on the magazine. We want to focus on all three of those things. And so I think that's one of the kind of exciting parts about this, is that this campaign isn't just a book. I mean, the book's going to be awesome. I feel, obviously I'm a little biased, but I think the book's going to be awesome. But it's not just a book. It's that also companion website that's going to go along with it, that is that I do want to hit on real quick, just because, as somebody, you're sitting here saying, I love this issue, I love that issue. I think as somebody who has loved magazines for a long time, it's very important that we preserve those magazines, right? That we keep them around, that we don't let them get lost to time. But it's not just that. And I think, in those issues you just showed me, right? If I asked you, okay, what all is in there? It might be hard to remember that. But you can sit down and you can pick an issue and kind of flip through it and things like that. But when you've got the entire run of 264 numbered issues of EGM, if someone like you is thinking, man, I really loved that review they did for like Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast, I want to read that review again. Like, how would you do that? Would you just sit there and get a pile of EGMs and kind of flip through them? So one of the things that the website is going to let you do, the digital archive is going to let you do, is you can say, you know what, I want to find that review again. And then it will take you to that issue. It will take you to that page and let you find it. So I think one of the things I do want to stress is that in archiving that history of EGM, it's not just about making those issues available again, which we are doing. It's also about helping you actually find what was in them, because it's just so easy for all of that history to get lost or hard to access. And so I think that is one of the big things, and we're looking at expanding that. We did hit the stretch goal to add EGM2 to the archive, for example, and then we're going to add some of the supplements and things like that. So that is like my kind of baby of this, is that digital archive, just because I think it's so important, not just to preserving the history, but actually accessing that history of EGM. And then, of course, we got the new issue, which is kind of the future of EGM, and seeing what we can do with that. So, there are a lot of ideas that we have going forward for what we can do with it. But for now, we want to see, okay, we've got these 3 new stretch goals. We'll see if we hit those. We see what people think of those. But we're also, even asking people is like, what do you want to see us do? Like, what do you want to see us do in the issue? What do you want to see us do in the book? Because there's a lot of passion out there for EGM and its history. And so we are hoping that we can help people kind of come in and help us expand that in the ways that they want to see.
No, this is really cool. This is like one of my exciting projects that I can't wait to see. Do you have an idea of, and I know this is going to be complicated because of different issues, but this is my last question, by the way. Do you have an idea when you would like for this project to come out? Is this like a year, 2 years?
Well, so on the campaign, we're saying that we're targeting next February as
of 2025.
Yes.
Oh my God!
For the book, but we are also saying, like the website, right? I think a book is a finite thing. You write the book, you print the book, you send it out there, and it's done. Something like the website is. I don't like the idea of saying that it's going to have a done date. We're going to launch it. Anybody who has backed the campaign or backed those levels to get access to the digital archive, they're going to get to come in. They're going to get to see it. There's a good chunk of the work done. I will tell you that in going back through the magazine, because we went issue by issue and got all the data for every review, every preview, every kind of feature, things like that. We went through I think it's just over 40,000 pages of magazine content across all those issues. And we have 21,000 some data entries in our database. So we've done all that, but there's still work to be done now that we're going to be adding EGM2 and things like that. So the website's going to be an ongoing process. We're going to let people in at a certain point. They can see it, but that won't be necessarily a this is done on this day kind of thing. And then the magazine, we don't have anything to say about that yet, because obviously our first goal is to get the book done. We want to make a great book. We want to put together when we want to get it out there, get the book done, get people into the digital archive, and then we're going to start working on issue 265, because we don't want to just rush that and get it out and not make it something that is worth putting out.
No, I think it is important to take your time. I just want this to be just the project come out great, man. So keep it up. But Molly, thanks for joining the episode. One more time, guys. Go. What do you have a website? Official website?
Yeah,
Go to
you just go
Kickstarter.
to egmbook.com, and that'll take you straight to the Kickstarter. And then once Kickstarter is done, that'll take you to whatever future site you need to get all the information.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. All right, Molly. But thank you so much for the chat.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
No problem.
Send us your feedback or questions. Give us a call at 786-273-7GTR. Email us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com or leave a message on speakpipe.com/gamertagradio.
My name is Tate Mosesian. I'm the studio art director at Survios, working on Alien Rogue Incursion.
Now, how long you guys been working on this project now?
So it's been in production approximately 3+ years. We've been working like full production last 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Now, the story, when it takes place when during the universe of Aliens.
Yeah, it's just sort of between the two first films, and based on the Defiance comic book from Dark Horse.
Okay.
So it's in that approximate timeline.
So I know a lot of people are probably going to be, curious why VR, why this is like for this one.
Not to put you on the spot, but you just played it in VR.
Yeah, but I know you guys played. Yeah. I know you guys worked on a couple of other VR games and stuff. But was it from the start? You guys always wanted to do a story based on Alien?
Well, I think a couple of things. The studio has a history of working on other IPs. We worked on the Creed series and Walking Dead and Westworld. So we have some experience doing that. We're very experienced at VR. Been doing it for about a decade now. Really one of the early studios to do it, and have only created for VR. When TQ, our chief product officer, came to the studio, he had access or the desire to bring Alien to the studio. And when we heard that, the studio kind of lost its mind, and oh my god, like this project came, this project came to us, holy, you know what, and so we were all behind it 100%, and we got it and set to work.
Yeah. Was there, you guys also checked out maybe like previous Alien games, maybe that you guys had inspired, maybe came up with like new ideas that is not in the other games?
So yes, I mean, the obvious, reference is Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation is a little bit of a different game, but the quality of the game and the intent of the game is really where our head is at as well. Alien Isolation gives the player a authentic experience based on the first film. And it was our desire to give the player an authentic experience based on the second film. So combat's a little different. Well, there is combat versus, survival. And so because of Zula's story, because we really wanted to dive into combat and take on that challenge in VR, that's sort of where we ended up.
I know people are probably curious about the story. Well, you could tell us a little bit about the story in this game.
So it is, like I said, it's based on the Defiance series from Dark Horse. Zula it becomes a young colonial Marine and goes through all the training, and she's an excellent Marine. Events happen. She gets injured on the battlefield, basically blown up. That's where she gets her back injury. I mean, because of her back injury, she just...
I notice every time I'll land somewhere, she's like, pain.
And while we play this first person.
Yeah.
We play this first person. So you don't get to see Zula that often in game when you look at the concept, when you look at some of the marketing materials, you'll see that she has a brace and whatnot, but she's fully functional. But yeah, you'll hear her every once in a while. Oh my God. But then she becomes, through some events, she meets Datus. Then she basically becomes a xeno hunter, a xenomorph hunter. And really her mission in life is to eradicate all xenomorphs, to stop companies like Weyland-Yutani and GES, Gemini Exoplanet Solutions, from experimenting with xenomorphs, really trying to just eliminate the use of xenomorphs holistically, just blow them off the face of, I guess, the universe. And that's her goal. That's what she's doing.
Well, you get to a little bit about the cast that you guys have for the voice acting is they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much, but you're telling me voice actors have been doing a great job.
Yeah.
Zula, perfect match. Davis, who is the synthetic that she teams up with, her buddy Carver, who really brings her to this facility. And there's some peripheral sort of tertiary cast members as well. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. The voice acting is really good.
No, that was the first thing I noticed with the game. So my last question is, what was it like for you and the team? Was like besides working on the alien game, was there anything that you guys had like the best time working on this project? Anything, or maybe something that you guys learned while working on this project?
You mean just as a
team, or as you, or as a person?
But aside from development,
aside of development. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this studio has always been really great at like bringing the team together for events. So Halloween, we always do a big thing, and for Christmas, Thanksgiving, I can't really point to any one particular event that really stood out, but we do a lot of sort of socializing. The thing too is when we started on this game, we were still in lockdown. Everyone was still at home. And so all of our sort of events, all of our interactions with each other were all done via, video conferencing. I mean, it was great to actually finally meet all the people you only knew in 2D and see them in full 3D. It was really awesome when we first started coming back into the studio.
That's cool. That's cool. And you guys have an official date for this?
19th. December 19th is our release date.
Awesome, man. But thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
This is Gamertag Radio. Voicemail at 786-2737-GTR.
So, Rodrigo, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? What is it that you do at United We Dream for the new folks that would like to learn more about the things that you do? And we'll go from there, man.
Of course, yeah. I can share a little bit about myself right now. So
yeah,
my name is Rodrigo. I am United We Dream Action's digital director. And for those who don't know me, I was born and raised in Guatemala, and my family and I moved to the United States when I was 16 in 2010. And I have always liked digital stuff. I've always been down for video games, always been down for graphic design, like anything to do with computers. And in about 2014, I found out about United We Dream Action, this amazing organization that fights for the rights and dignity of immigrants like myself in the United States. And I made the decision of plugging myself into the work that United We Dream was doing. And ever since then, everything is history. So I've started combining all of my passions for digital work with my passion for fighting for justice for immigrants. And I've been working with them for 10 years now. I turned 10 years in October.
Woo! In October? Wait, that's this month.
That's this month, yeah.
Yeah. So it's later this month?
Yeah. It was,
nice.
I think,
nice.
October 1st, exactly.
Oh, snap. That's wild, man. Time has been flying. That's for sure. I know the last stream that we got to do, not last one though, I think the first one that we actually played Fortnite for the first time, there was a lot of people that there was asking a lot of questions about DACA in our chat, I remember. And I think one of them was also supporting that to protect DACA too. That was really cool to see that other gamers are also spreading the word and talking about it within their community too.
Yeah, it's definitely really needed right now. Like, I think anything that is, I think what we need right now in our movements and in our communities, right, is to make sure that we're not kind of like forgetting or just like staying silent about all of these issues, right? I think like telling our stories. I think, for example, the work that you do, right, Danny, like being like on stream, sharing about like how all of these issues impact like our Latino communities and the people that are behind this work is really, really important. And I think the more people that we have that they can share like their stories, that they can share how all of these like issues impact them, and how they want to drive change. Like, I think sometimes it can feel very lonely. It can feel like you don't know what to do in order for you to make that change happen. And being able to start with like sharing your story, getting into spaces like the squad, connecting through shows like No Borders, Just Flavors. All of these things, like at the end of the day, they add up into the change that we want to drive together as like friends, community, neighbors, your fellow gamers. I was thinking like, you never know who are like the people that are like that you're playing with, right? Like what if like the guy that like joins your team and like carries you throughout like the game, what if like he's like an immigrant or an undocumented person? You will never know.
Yeah, or even a game that this is out that you bought it, and there's probably a person that's like that too that probably worked on the game. That's possible too, and you have no idea. You have no idea.
Yeah,
that's why it is important to talk about this, man, and share. Because look, there's also people that are probably afraid even to talk about it because they're in that situation too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's I think the way that we open and we take ourselves out of that fear is by being in community, building friendships, being honest, telling our own stories. I think like when I think about myself and I share my story, like I share it not from a perspective of like not just because I want to share it, but also because I want to encourage other folks to like come and share their own stories too. Like I'm sure that there's like hundreds and thousands of millions of people that have very similar life experiences than mine, and we need you, right? Like we need all of them. We need all of us to come together and be united in solidarity.
Now here's a question that I know we talked about this before, but in case there's new people here that want to know, and they want to help out as much as they can to protect DACA, what's like the things that they could do?
Yeah, so we have two ways. First, our sister organization, United We Dream, we are participating in a coalition called the Home is Here Coalition. You can follow us in all of our social media accounts. So you can go to @UnitedWeDream on Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, all of the social media platforms. You can find all of our work there. And then the second way to plug in more directly is to plug in into our squad. So if you're part of our squad, you'll be reached out directly by our squad members. You'll receive access to trainings. People will let you know about like the latest political updates on DACA, and they're also the group that is driving change in their own communities and nationwide too. And I was talking with you a little bit earlier, like not necessarily just on DACA, but also like fighting for citizenship for all, fighting for the rights and dignity of all immigrants. And the way that you plug into the squad is by the link that I sent you earlier, or by texting the word squad to 78757. But yeah, I know I promote and I say a lot about the squad, but I think the thing I want to highlight about the work that we're doing with the squad is that back in the day when I first joined United We Dream Action, we didn't have like, you know, all of the infrastructure that we have today. There was not really like a place where I could like, you know, sign in to find more information about the work that was happening. And I think the work that we've been doing with the squad and making sure that we always have a way that people can interact with us is just like is just great and easy and accessible for people to just like plug in and see themselves part of the work. So definitely encourage everybody, if at any point you felt like you want to be part of of our fight, part of our movement, you want to tell your story, definitely joining the squad is the best way to do it.
It's crazy how technology has helped us to spur the word a lot more, and also to I think easier for people also to join in the squad too, man, because of the whole tech, you know, the whole text and signing up on the website, all that stuff. And I'm glad that you guys are doing like local events too, man. I would love to check out the events if you ever do anything here in Los Angeles, man.
Yeah, definitely. We'll send you like updates. I mean, if you wanna sign up with the squad as well, like they'll definitely send you all of the information as soon as we have like something that happens locally in your area. So that's like the best place where you can get your updates too.
I think we should also do like a gamer meetup or something, right? That would be really cool. Gamer meetup and play some games. Maybe they'll talk about games and talk about all these issues and everything.
It would be really nice to do. I don't know if we can do like really cool in-person interviews, like a panel.
Yeah. Or I mean, we've done panels. I did like a live podcast one time at an event. It was like a podcast conference. It was cool. Talked about like industry stuff and changes that we got to see throughout the years. You know, there's different things we could do. Great game, great session. Rodrigo, man, thank you so much, man, for playing and also talking about everything that's going on at We Dream Action, how to protect DACA, how to join the squad. And by the way, I'm gonna put it one more time in the chat so you guys could sign up, join the squad. Anything else, Rodrigo? Anything else?
Well, first, thank you again for having me, Danny. I really appreciate the time and the conversations we have here. It's always fun, always good. For everybody that is watching, do not forget to join the squad if you're wanting to drive change, if you're wanting to do actions at your local communities, if you're trying to build community with us. Definitely join the squad with the squad to 78757 or through the link that Danny has here. And then don't forget to follow us on social media. Again, my name is Rodrigo, United We Dream Action's digital director, and you can follow us on social media with at UWD Action on Instagram, TikTok, X, and then if you want to follow our sister organization United We Dream, is with at United We Dream on X, TikTok, Instagram, all over the place. Check out all of the work that we're doing, plug into our work, join the squad. Be part of our fight. We really want you here. We want all of you to be part of our fight.
All right, Rodrigo, thanks a lot.
Thanks again for everything, Danny. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.